Okay, think back. Just a few years, really. Training. That meant being in a room, right? Together.
Yeah, absolutely. In person was king.
E-learning, I mean, it was there. Growing, even. But often felt like something companies bought, but did it really stick?
That's a fair point. It often lacked that immediate feedback loop, that connection.
Then bam, 2020 hits. In-person just stops. And suddenly, this thing, virtual instructor-led training, VLT, it goes from being like maybe a backup plan
If that, often seen as a low-value afterthought,
to
really.
you being the only option. Quite the shakeup.
A massive shift. You had face-to-face as the gold standard, e-learning, getting all this investment. Billions, actually.
Right, that asynchronous stuff, LinkedIn Learning, platforms like that, huge growth, like 900% over 20 years.
Exactly. Self-paced, individual. But VLT, that live, synchronous, virtual stuff, it was barely a blip, maybe 10% of live training delivery.
10%. Wow. So VLT was just kind of there. Then the pandemic hits. Our source calls it a tsunami.
A good word for it. It just washed over everything, forcing this huge rethink. Suddenly, VLT wasn't just an option, it was essential.
Which brings us to why we're diving into this. Maybe you, listening, are wrestling with this. How do you make virtual training actually work? For your job, your team. Or maybe you're just curious.
Yeah, how do we move beyond, you know, dull webinars and create real learning online?
Exactly. So we're unpacking that today, looking at what makes virtual training engaging, effective. And our source material, it comes from folks who are right in the thick of it.
Right, an organization that had to pivot super fast. They actually started building virtual training studios before the pandemic really hit. Talk about timing.
Incredible foresight, or maybe luck, but they had to figure it out on the fly.
Yeah, moving from just, talking over slides to trainers actually being on camera, trying to create what they call a legendary virtual training experience.
Legendary. Okay, high bar. So let's set the scene. Pre-pandemic, our author, a proper road warrior, right?
Oh, yeah. Something like 311 nights a year in hotels, flying everywhere, delivering training face-to-face, schedules packed.
That really shows you the demand, the expectation for in-person.
It absolutely does. That physical presence was seen as paramount, even with that massive e-learning market bubbling up alongside it.
Right. So in-person ruled, asynchronous e-learning got the money, VILT was kind of ignored.
Pretty much. Until it couldn't be ignored anymore. That tsunami hit.
And even with those studios they built, it sounds like it was a mad scramble.
Oh, for sure. Getting them operational, training the trainers on this new way of working, being present on camera, not just a voice.
But people were skeptical at first, weren't they? Clients, learners?
Definitely. The source mentions this one head of L&D who'd had, quote, dreadful experiences with virtual training before. Her people felt the same way.
Understandable. We've probably all sat through some bad ones.
Right. But after they went through this organization's new VLT approach, the feedback was apparently amazing, outstanding, completely engaged. People were surprised.
And that actually changed things.
Yeah, big time. That same skeptical client ended up hiring them to train their own internal trainers on how to deliver virtually. That's a heck of a turnaround. Proof of concept right there.
Wow. Okay, so it can work. And then they started seeing other benefits.
Yeah, suddenly they had global reach. They could follow the sun, training people across continents without anyone getting on a plane.
Huge cost savings there, I bet. Travel, hotels.
Massive. And counterintuitively, training volume went up. Clients started doubling, even tripling their orders because it was more accessible, more efficient.
Interesting. So let's dig into the why. Why can VLT be effective? The source acknowledges in-person is powerful, especially emotionally, collaboratively.
Sure, that human connection in the room is hard to replicate perfectly.
And asynchronous e-learning. Cheap, fast to deploy, but maybe lonely. Lacks that social element.
Yeah, you miss the group dynamic, the shared learning.
So VLT tries to bridge that gap.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Blend the social learning, the interaction in the classroom with the speed and cost effectiveness of e-learning, potentially a higher ROI.
And they argue it can be just as effective, maybe even better for retention.
Yeah, because of chunking. Breaking down content into shorter, focused virtual sessions instead of like an 8-hour day in a classroom.
Ah, the information fire hose.
Exactly. Shorter chunks, spaced out, can actually help learning stick better. Apparently, there are studies supporting this.
Plus the green angle, lower carbon footprint.
Right. Less travel is definitely a plus for the environment.
But, and this seems crucial, the experience has to be good.
Absolutely critical. The source hammers this point. The biggest barrier was often just bad VLT, impersonal, low energy, boring.
Death by voice over PowerPoint, we know it well.
We do.
Yeah.
And the source says, look, a great virtual learning experience, that's the real secret. People would rather have no training than sit through bad, cheap VLT.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you create that great experience?
They break it down into 5 core elements for what they call a legendary virtual learning experience, or VLX.
Okay, what are they?
1, mission and mindset. 2, production. 3, virtual communication skills. 4, design. And 5, delivery.
Got it. Mission and mindset first. What's that about?
It starts with the why. That passion, that mission drive to actually help people learn and grow. That's the foundation.
So it's about the trainer's motivation.
Yeah. If you're truly focused on the learner's success, it helps overcome your own stuff, like fear of the tech or being on camera. It's not about you, it's about them.
That's a powerful reframe. Passion fuels virtual presence. Focus on the learner, not your own nerves.
Exactly. The author admits their own early virtual sessions were not great.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but they improve through practice and shifting that mindset. They talk about the bullshit story trainers tell themselves about why they can't do virtual well.
Okay, so challenge those internal narratives.
Right, and this idea of rewiring your brain. Our brains are used to in-person cues, right? Faces, body language all around us. Virtual is different.
Fewer cues. Harder to read the room.
Initially, yeah. But with practice, you can actually get better at perceiving things virtually. It takes adaptation. But what if someone's just really camera shy? Any baby steps?
Good question. I think the source implies starting small. Maybe just camera on for intros or Q&A. Focus on connecting with 1 or 2 faces. Build up that comfort level gradually. Don't try to be a TV presenter overnight.
Makes sense. Then there's emotional discipline and emotional contagion.
Sounds serious.
It kind of is. Your energy, your confidence or lack of it, it transmits to the learners, even through the screen. It's contagious.
So fake it till you make it. Or
maybe a more like project confidence for them. They mentioned this WWII story about emotional resilience being key, more than just physical strength. It's about that inner game for the trainer facing this new environment.
Mental toughness.
Okay.
And embracing digital transformation.
Yeah, the 3 A's. Adopt the tech, adapt to it, become adept with it. You can't fight it.
So face the tech and video camera phobia.
Repetition, practice, and constantly reminding yourself why you're doing it for the learners. Plus, they make a good point. Learners are usually way more worried about how they look on camera than how you look.
True. Okay. And this mantra, good enough is not good enough.
Yeah. Basically, don't phone it in. Poor VALT increases cognitive load.
Meaning it's just harder work for the learner's brain.
Exactly. Like trying to listen in a noisy cafe. Bad audio, jumpy video, a disengaged trainer. It all adds mental static.
Yeah.
Makes learning tiring. Unlike, say, watching a well-produced movie.
Right, which ties into needing to be visible, no hiding behind slides.
Absolutely. You have to be on camera, connecting visually.
Okay, element 2, production, getting the tech right.
Right. And this has a wow factor. Good production immediately signals quality and professionalism. It can change those negative perceptions.
Because we're all used to slick video online now.
Totally. Expectations are higher. Think about TV shows. They invest heavily in sets, lighting, audio, partly to make it easy on the viewer's brain. Less cognitive load.
So, for someone starting out, maybe on a budget, what's the most important production piece? Where's the best bang for your buck?
Audio. Hands down. Clear audio is non-negotiable.
More important than video.
The source argues yes. People tolerate slightly glitchy video, but bad audio static, echo, background noise is incredibly distracting and frustrating. Makes it almost impossible to learn.
So, rule 1, kill the noise. Get a decent mic.
Definitely. Avoid those cheap headsets or just using your laptop mic. They even say headphones can send a weird subconscious message like you're closed off. And manage room echo soft furnishings, maybe acoustic panels behind you.
Okay, audio first, then lighting.
Yep. Face a window for natural light if you can control it, or get some decent LED lights, ring lights, panel lights, something with a dimmer and maybe temperature control. Place them right so you don't get weird shadows.
And the camera itself. Ditch the built-in laptop one.
Please. The source calls it the grim reacher view looking up your nose. Not flattering, not professional. Get an external webcam or even a mirrorless camera if you can. Put it on a tripod at eye level.
Makes a huge difference. What about internet?
Crucial. Fast upload speed. And wired Ethernet connection, if possible. Wi-Fi can be flaky. Always have a backup, like a mobile hotspot. Connection drops are killers.
Platform choice matters too, right? Zoom, Teams?
Yeah, the platform is your virtual classroom. Zoom gets props for features like breakouts, spotlighting. But as a trainer, you need to be comfy on whatever platform your client uses.
And the background. What's behind you?
Keep it professional. Clean, uncluttered, not your laundry pile. Think of it as your virtual set. Some people use a monitor behind them, showing slides, reinforcing that classroom feel.
Okay, then they talk about live switching.
Yeah, like on TV news.
Yeah.
Switching smoothly between your camera feed and your screen share, maybe other inputs. It keeps things visually dynamic, less static.
Sounds complicated.
It can be. There are simple ways, just using the platform toggle, and more complex ways with hardware switchers and maybe a producer helping. But even basic switching needs practice, so it's not awkward.
And finally, underproduction, being video ready.
Right? Grooming. Professional attire, business casual, usually. Dress for the camera. Avoid busy patterns, maybe pure black or white. Blues are often good.
They mention enclosed cognition.
Yeah, the idea that what you wear actually affects your mindset. Dressing professionally helps you feel professional. Plus, avoids any embarrassing caught with pajama bottoms moments.
Huh, good point. And framing, getting yourself positioned right.
Super important. Stop using the laptop camera. Eye-level camera, centered, decent headroom. Like a newscaster. Your face is the main communication tool.
Which links to nonverbal communication.
Exactly. Facial expressions, gestures, posture, they need to match your words. And eye contact, looking at the camera lens, is vital for connection. It feels like you're looking at the learners.
Takes practice, I bet, looking at a lens instead of faces on screen.
It really does. But it makes a big difference to the learners.
Okay, that's a lot on production. Moving to element 3, VILT course design.
Right. How you structure the actual learning content. The key approach here is called blended chunk, sequence, and layer.
Break that down. Chunking.
Yeah, breaking big topics into smaller, digestible pieces. Short, interactive virtual sessions. Way better than that 8-hour information dump. Improves retention.
Makes sense. Sequence.
Just making sure the chunks flow logically from one to the next.
Yeah.
Building knowledge step by step.
And layering.
Thinking of modules as interconnected, building on each other, not just standalone units. Creating a cohesive learning journey.
And interaction is key in the design.
Absolutely. Design it in from the start. Breakouts, exercises, polls, discussions. Minimize the trainer just talking at people. Maximize learner involvement.
How do you build this from scratch?
Start with the why, do a needs assessment, get stakeholders aligned on outcomes, then design the curriculum, and finally implement maybe with a pilot group and optimize based on feedback.
What about the visuals, slides and stuff?
Keep them simple. Reduce visual noise.
Mm-hmm.
Slides should support the trainer, not be the training. Use a consistent template. Big, readable font sans serif usually works best.
And images.
Use relevant, memorable images that help explain concepts or evoke emotion. Our brains process images way faster than text and remember them better.
Good tip. And animations.
Use them thoughtfully. Builds, reveals, they can help control the flow of information, keep people focused. Don't overdo it, though.
So, thoughtful design is crucial before you even go live.
Couldn't be more critical. It sets the stage for everything else.
Which brings us to element 4, VILT delivery. Showtime.
And the source says the virtual classroom is unforgiving. Preparation is absolutely essential. No winging it, even if you're a seasoned classroom trainer.
Why is prep even more important virtually?
Pace is faster, potential tech glitches, harder to read nonverbal cues. You need a solid plan. A detailed lesson plan for each session is a must.
What goes in the plan?
Learning outcomes, agenda, timings, activities, notes on engagement strategies, any whiteboard prep needed, intro, recap, basically your roadmap. Make sure you use learners' time well.
And definitely no winging it.
Definitely not. Murphy's Law loves virtual training. The author shares a painful story of a webinar disaster due to lack of prep. Panic sets in.
That fight or flight response when tech goes wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stress hormones flood your brain, makes it hard to think clearly. Preparation is your antidote. It builds confidence, credibility.
Like airline pilots with their checklists.
Perfect analogy. They use them every single flight, no matter how experienced. Trainers need a detailed pre-training checklist, too.
What's on the checklist?
Basics first. Power, laptop charge, backup power if possible. No power, no VLT.
Obvious, but critical.
Then internet. Check the wired connection, test the speed, have that hotspot backup ready and tested.
Camera checks?
Yep. Connected, selected in the platform. Settings okay, framing good, backup camera handy,
Audio?
mic selected, levels good. Do a test recording.
Backdrop okay. Platform settings?
Check the backdrop. Check platform settings, waiting room, chat, screen sharing permissions, how people join. And crucially, test on the client-specific platform well in advance if it's one you don't usually use. Compatibility issues are common.
Minimize distractions too, right? Closes unnecessary apps, silence phone.
All of it. Then setting rules for the session.
Rules, like in school.
Sort of. Expectations for participation, maybe camera on, mute when not speaking, how to ask questions, often more needed virtually because people are easily distracted at home or in the office. Get leader buy-in first if they're attending.
How do you control the virtual classroom then? Beyond rules.
It's about setting expectations clearly, delivering confidently, keeping it engaging, focusing on the learners, but also managing different participant types.
Ah, the challenging ones. The grouch, the dominator.
The joker, the shy mouse, the top dog leader who needs careful handling, the person clearly multitasking. You need strategies to gently bring focus back, neutralize disruption without causing arguments. Emotional control is key for the trainer here. Avoid that psychological reactance.
Right. Don't make them dig their heels in. What about the trainer's own focus?
Huge. Attention control and being present. Remove your own distractions. If you're checking email, learners notice. Your credibility plummets.
Makes sense. Then there's the communication plan.
Yeah, vital, because miscommunication is easier virtually. Over-communicate. Use multiple channels, email, calendar invites, platform chat, maybe even short videos. Double-check all links and access info. Communicate early and often.
Leveraging video messaging seems like a big theme.
It is. Short, personal video messages before, during, after can really enhance the experience, make them feel valued. Keep videos short, authentic, well-lit, decent audio. Doesn't need Hollywood production.
That personalization seems key.
It taps into the law of reciprocity. You make them feel important, they're more likely to engage.
Okay, which leads perfectly into the final element. The fine art of engagement.
This is where it all comes together. Key principles again. Trainers always on stage. Good enough isn't good enough. Delivery and learner feelings matter most. Create positive emotional experiences.
And the core idea.
The deepest human craving is to feel significant. So, the key to connecting. Make learners feel important.
How?
Simple things. Start by letting everyone introduce themselves briefly. Build learner profiles. Use their names. Remember details they shared. Personalize where you can.
And listen.
Oh, absolutely paramount. Effective listening is maybe even more critical virtually because you have fewer cues. Really tune in.
They mentioned pattern painting. What's that?
It's a brain analogy. Boring training, same tone. Endless slides creates a dull, predictable pattern. The brain checks out.
Ah, the mental screensaver goes on.
Yeah, exactly. To grab attention, you need to disrupt that pattern. Good production, energy, momentum, interactivity, storytelling. It paints with bright colors, wakes the brain up.
How do you foster discussion? Avoid awkward silences.
Create a safe space. Ask purposeful questions. Maybe call on people directly, but mix it up so it's not predictable. Manage the everyone unmute at once chaos.
And the number one rule for questions.
Never answer your own question.
Ooh, that's hard. The silence can be deafening.
It is. You have to resist the urge to jump in. Give them time to think and respond. It's crucial for real engagement.
What about other interaction beyond Q&A?
Loads of tools. Use the chat actively. Run polls. Use annotation tools on screen shares. Digital whiteboards are great, especially for breakouts.
Breaks are important too, right?
Definitely. For longer sessions. Schedule them, stick to them, and manage your pacing. Don't rush slides. If you run short on time, have a plan. Skip less critical stuff, save it for next time. Or offer a quick follow-up. Don't sacrifice understanding for speed.
And finally, stories.
Yes. Bring content to life with relevant stories and examples. Stories with emotion engage both sides of the brain, making content more memorable and understandable. The curriculum is your canvas paint vividly.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this all up, it's clear that effective virtual training isn't just about having the right software.
Not at all. It's way more about focusing on that learner experience, designing thoughtfully, delivering with energy and presence, and communicating clearly and consistently.
By really embracing these elements, mindset, production, communication, design, delivery, you can move way beyond those basic webinars.
You really can create genuinely impactful learning experiences, even through a screen. It's pushed us all to be more intentional about how we teach and connect.
It really has. So a final thought for everyone listening. Considering all this about engagement, about making learners feel significant, what's maybe one immediate small change you could make in your next virtual meeting or training session to forge a stronger connection?
That's a great question to ponder. Small changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And remember, these principles are a fantastic starting point, but the landscape keeps evolving. Continuous learning, adaptation, and always keeping the learner at the heart of it, that seems key.